Hello.
Hello.
I never know how to do the hellos, but hello.
I like it that you do the two hands up.
Well, yeah.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm okay. I can tell it's the last episode because I'm sat so casual, like now, don't just basically
Flop.
asleep here.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I can't
It's a nice room, though.
It is a nice room.
It's
I
nice
like it
room.
here.
Nice.
I can't believe we're on the last episode.
I know. There
Crazy.
we are. Series 2.
Series 2
Done.
in the bag. Boom. Shame we can't remember anything we've talked about.
I can't even be like, what was your favourite episode? I don't remember any of them.
Is that a sign of a good conversation that it all just merges into one?
Maybe it's a sign of a good conversation. I don't know if it's a sign of a good podcast.
We should have clear themes. But do you know, I think that is true about mental health. I think things merge in. I don't
agree.
think there's a definitively this, or this. I think we're just like holistic beings ultimately. So this idea that, you know, one thing is not connected to another.
Yeah.
I could just be making that narrative to fit the fact we can't remember. But
Roll with it.
It feels okay.
Well, that's why I think this podcast is great, because it is in my view anyway, a more realistic sort of take on therapy and mental health, because it's like all over the place and
it's all a bit messy.
It's all a bit messy,
and we are messy.
In it, there's some really like amazing takeaways.
I hope so. Should we introduce ourselves?
Yes.
You go first.
Hi. I'm Owen Cutts. I am a songwriter and producer from London. That's it. I was going to bung something else on there, but I thought
you don't feel enough in that.
Let's
just add a few more
documentary film. No. Yeah, that's me.
That's you.
Who the hell are you?
Sometimes I'm not sure, but mostly, no, I'm Jodie Cariss. I am a therapist, and I'm also the founder of Self Space, which is a contemporary mental health service.
Great.
And welcome to the last episode of I'm Okay Though.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe it's the last episode.
I can't either. And we're going to be talking a bit about change today, aren't we?
Because it's all, it's all changing.
Change.
It's all.
It's all always changing. Actually,
yeah.
I was doing some writing on change, actually, weirdly, at the weekend for something else I'm doing. And I think change can be like ultimately incredibly destabilizing, however positive the change is.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think there's something so reassuring about knowing that even just as we're sitting here, everything internally is changing.
Yeah.
Because that's how we are as beings. We're constantly changing, whether it's our body temperature, our blood pressure, how we're breathing, what is needed to adjust to the light, how we're seeing, we are accustomed to change.
Yeah.
We never stay the same. We are never the same.
Even our skin, right? And our everything changes.
Everything is changing every second. But every second there's some change happening to us.
Yeah.
And I think if we can really hold, close this idea that we were built for change, it can be really reassuring in times of kind of real distress and panic around change.
People struggle with change, don't they?
Yeah, I think.
Is that quite in the therapy room? Do you find that's quite a common?
It really is, actually. What I notice is people often come to therapy in what I call the pain before the change. So it's these periods before we are able to make change, which can be prolonged and actually can be forever. So it's a bit like, the way I think about it is a bit like growing pains. It's like while you're in it, it's so painful, and it might be the indecision about leaving a job or leaving a relationship, selling the house or moving house or country, or small changes like, we can find small, shall I, move my child's nursery or whatever. We become so enmeshed in this idea that we can mitigate or get rid of any pain or challenge around it, which is like, I just want to guarantee this change is all going to be okay. So I'll write massive lists about the pros and the cons, and I'll try to go, this is, if I do this, this might happen, and we can stay there not making the decision for so long, and it's so exhausting. And then when we finally make the change, to make the decision and stick with it, so relieving, regardless of how difficult the change is to make.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the indecision before the change that's unbelievably painful and difficult.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And you might have it like changing management.
Yeah.
Whatever the change is, we get fixed on.
Yeah.
It's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
Got to make, and actually that's so consuming. The kind of the piece before we make the change.
Yeah, because I guess it's kind of like you need to build up your strength, or people might feel like they need to.
We want to control.
Yeah.
We want to be able to control the outcome, and we want to be able to stop the discomfort in change. The way I visualize changes is like jumping from one lily pad to the other.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of comfortable on this lily pad. It's not perfect though, because it's maybe a little bit sinking.
Yeah.
And I need to get to the other. And the bit where you jump through the air, where it feels like, oh my God, anything could happen,
Yeah.
is horrid. And then you land again. You're like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Back on stable ground.
Yeah.
But we need to know it's destabilizing in the change. Change is always destabilizing. Doesn't matter how small the change is, somewhere it's going to feel uncomfortable.
And is that linked to like your comfort in the
familiar?
In the familiar.
Yeah. And we want to protect ourselves from everything that comes with the idea of something being different. Even if we're in we hate our job.
Yeah.
It's awful. We don't like the people, or we don't care about the values. It's still sometimes more comfortable than what we don't know.
Yeah.
Or what if I never get a job again? Or what if I don't like the...
That's why people like to try and, obviously like financially as well, try and secure another
thing before they go. And it's why actually affairs are so common, because we can be so unhappy in the relationship we're in, but we can't bear to make the change. So we'll rather get someone else, but maybe there's a guarantee there.
Yeah. Before
I destabilize myself in order to leave this one.
Right.
So I think that that's part of that as well.
Yeah.
We'll do anything we can.
You don't want to let go of one branch until you're holding on to another.
No. And I think, this idea and the idea attached to change, which can be, it's great. When I make change, it's always, it's got to be really good and rosy, is not realistic, because we might land somewhere else and go, God, I miss what I had before, or I miss my old job, or I miss my, this isn't perfect. Okay, no, it isn't, but we can make another change.
Yeah.
Like we can just keep moving if we need to.
Yeah, that's true. That's worth sort of like holding, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you can change again.
Yeah.
Just because you've made like one big change doesn't mean that like you have to stay there now because it was a big one.
Yeah. And I think bringing change into your everyday life is really important. And it might even be things like change up where you get your coffee in the morning, change up that route that you walk, or how you get to somewhere. Encourage yourself to know that change is possible.
Yeah.
And we do that subliminally by making these small changes consistently.
Yeah. I mean, 'cause I used to struggle with, I had a chair at my parents' house that I'd sit in for dinner.
What, when you were a kid, or
my whole life? Like that was my place
at the table,
at the dinner table. Yeah, that was my chair. And if anyone
sat in it,
or it wasn't, or it was like I didn't like that change. That's the one.
Oh, it's the
1 o'clock alarm, everyone.
Yeah, 1 o'clock alarm means
1 o'clock means everything's great. Just a reminder that
everything's okay.
Actually, in the grand scheme of things, you know what?
I'm all right.
Everything's pretty good, man.
Except if someone sits in your chair.
Don't sit in my bloody chair.
Do you still have the Do you still have the chair?
I don't know because my parents moved, but I still have. I still have like a sense of the place where I want to sit around the table. I remember the exact spot around the dining table that I'd want to sit on.
And what happened to you? What did you feel if you were
like uncomfortable? Like it
uncomfortable?
wasn't comfortable. Just like also like if like the kitchen was rearranged, as in not like the whole kitchen, but like, oh, do you know what? If my mum was like, oh, I think I'm gonna move the bowls and we're gonna have the bowls in this cupboard now. I didn't like that change.
Yeah. You wanted the consistency.
Yeah, because I wanted to be able to go open a cupboard. There's a bowl. You know, now I'm opening it and I'm seeing like glasses,
Cornflakes.
and I'm like, yeah. I was like, oh, I didn't like that change.
But I'm guessing in your job, you have to be able to go back and change a piece of music.
Yeah, you do.
And
There's
do you
no
sometimes
routine
find
in my job though, so it's like that's kind of like easy. It's easier to.
Yeah, you're not like a 9 to 5 where you go to the same place over and over again.
Yeah.
But you must have to, because I find this particularly difficult. Like I actually am okay with change. I like some familiars, but I don't find it easy, but I can face change and kind of manage it. But what I find really difficult is, I wrote a book last year for Penguin, and I do quite a bit of writing for my work. If I've written something and someone asks me to change it, I find that really difficult. What?
Piss you off?
Well, yeah, and also
like
I can't see another way that those words can go. I can't find.
You look pissed off.
I can't find another way. No, there's not another way to write that though. That's where I go. I can't make that better.
You can't be edited.
I can't be edited.
And what happens? Do you eventually come around to it and change it?
I feel like I've got a block on that. I found it with the book.
Bloody hell.
It felt okay because someone else changed it. And then I didn't have a problem with that. I was like, yeah, that's cool. That's better.
Oh, it's just them asking you to do it.
I couldn't find another way of doing it. Yeah, no, it's not really an ego thing. It's not like that's amazing. It's just like, there's not another way.
Right.
I can't say the same thing, though, in a different way, which is so bizarre because sometimes, like with a client in therapy, I'll have to ask the same thing 5 or 6 times in different ways because they're not getting where they need to get to. So I've got to think, right, how can I come at this to get a similar outcome, but in a way they can hear or is palatable. So I can kind of keep dancing around with that. But something about words on the page found really hard, which is why I asked you about music. Do you ever get where you're like, nah, I can't change that?
I had it recently. I definitely have more than 0 attempts.
Unlike me.
I have probably 1 or 2 goes of, then I start to max out and be like, this is, I'm losing. What happens with me is I will lose what was good about it in the first place.
You can't find the magic in it.
If I go at it more than, if I edit it more than sort of, so like, it doesn't really happen so much in like one part of the song. It'll be more like the whole thing. You know what I mean? So it'll be like, can we revisit this song? Because I feel like it needs to be a little bit more dancey or some stupid, some completely uncreative will be editing, or critiquing you. I feel like it just needs to be a little bit more dancey, and you're just like, what the fuck does that mean? So then you go back and you have a look at it and you change it and you send it back, and they're like, yeah, it's definitely more dancey. I just feel like it might have lost some of its like urgency. And you're like, okay. And then you go back and you change, by the sort of like 4th or 5th time of that, I'm done, I'm out. I'm like, well, this was like to me, every version is rubbish now, and I cannot hear what was good about it in the first place.
Right, okay. I can see that.
But what I did recently was I worked with a guy who like I really respect. He's like a really sort of like amazing artist, but he's also an A&R. So he was like he's got this artist that he's signed, and I've done 2 or 3 songs with her. And the original, and I was on quite a good run of not being told I need to do any work on anything. It's just been like, yep, this is great, let's go, you know. So I was on quite a good roll of that. And then he said, yeah, these are great, we love these. I was like, okay, cool. And then he could kind of like, I could tell like he wasn't quite happy with them, you know. And I was just kind of a bit like, well, what I said, I thought, think it's a mixed thing. Maybe when we get it mixed, it will bring out what you're hoping. And he was like, and then he said, oh, maybe we could get someone else to have a look at it, like
another producer,
additional production, yeah. And that's when I was like, wait, let me have one more go. And I said, actually, do you know what'd be really helpful is if you just send me an email of like literally at timestamps, like of things you feel like could be different or things you feel like could happen in these things. Because otherwise I'm just going at it completely blind.
Yeah,
you
don't really know what the hope is.
He was basically saying then just not finished. And I was like,
I don't know.
I've finished. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what, you know. And then so I took a bit of time away from the songs. I didn't listen to them. And then I asked him to write me this email.
And did he?
And he did. And he emailed me and he was like, oh, at 38 seconds, this is where I feel like something needs to happen because the drums are feeling a bit like they've been doing the same, you know, really like detailed, but also from someone I really respect.
Yeah.
And then I'd taken a break from the songs for so long that by the time I was reading the email while I was listening, I was like, oh my God, I can do so much to this. And I just like opened up the session, went in, like added sounds, took things out, completely like read all of his notes, was like, he's absolutely right here. And then I'd get to one and be like, I don't like, maybe this one isn't as important, like, but I see what, and it wasn't, and it was great.
And did it sound better?
Yeah, it sounds loads better. And afterwards I sent one off. And everyone was just like, yes, like that's, yeah, like great. And like to think that prior to that, I thought they were done.
Yes.
You know?
But it was amazing that you could, not amazing, but how helpful that you could push through the defense, which is the ego, which could have said, okay, cool, let someone else do it then. They're going to be better than me. Fine.
Yeah.
Then you go off with your tail between your legs like, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Then someone else does that and nails it and you're left feeling crap.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're able to face it, which is, this is hard to hear.
Yeah. Wasn't used to it.
Yeah. But actually so helpful.
Yeah.
Because then you've got an opportunity to change it.
Yeah.
To make changes.
Yeah.
And maybe... you know, there's something really important in that. And also that, you know, it's part of what therapy is. You know, our job as a therapist is to hand back parts of you that might need altering or changing.
Yeah.
Not because what's there isn't good enough, but because maybe it could be different or better.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to experience life and how you feel a bit differently if you're able to hear what that change might feel like or look like or do it. You know, and I think we can be really defensive of that as humans. You know, if someone says, you know, Jodie, I find it really hard when you do X, or could you maybe change that? What?
Yeah.
Definitely. I can't go back and rewrite those words. Yeah. Definitely not. Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, maybe I can.
Yeah.
And we find feedback really hard often, but it's so important.
Yeah.
I think to be able to listen. You know, feedback. how yeah. But even in our relationships, friends, family, lovers, whatever, you know, how are you finding me right now?
Yeah.
Rather than you're being a prat or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder how you're finding me. Well, I'm finding you quite overwhelming and you're just like really busy all the time or really what? Oh, okay. No, I'm not. Or, yeah, maybe I am. Okay, that's how you're finding me. That's your experience.
Yeah.
Can I find that useful?
Because I find people find it hard to change, like, for other people.
Yes, and maybe that is a big ask.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we need to please others in the way that we change. But if someone says, so for example, okay, you know, Owen, I find the fact that like you're out every night is really difficult, challenging, whatever. But you could go, well, I'm not changing for Jodie. I'm not going to change. But somewhere you might go, I wonder if I feel very good about this. Like I'm tired all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not really living well.
Yeah.
Maybe a change here might be really helpful, even though if I stop doing that, going out every night, I'm going to miss something.
Yeah.
Maybe you will.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll feel a bit sad about the thing that you are leaving behind and changing.
Yeah.
But probably the gain's going to be better. Well, I'm less tired and Jodie and I are cool now.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we feel like making a change is going to lose us something. And often it does. But the gain on the other side of it is often way, way bigger, like you've just explained.
Yeah.
I did make the change and now I feel amazing because the track sounds wicked.
Yeah, and I took some time away from it.
You made a bit of space.
Yeah.
And also we have, you know, I think it's really important that we maintain our better mental health in order to be able to face change.
Yeah.
Because if we're tired, you know, not eating well, not sleeping, you know, overindulging or whatever, when we come to face change, it's going to feel totally overwhelming.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're generally feeling okay,
we
can handle it better.
We can face it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And one of the things I would really hold on to is when you're really faced with the fear of change or not being able, kind of really not sure that you can do it, something that you can have total mastery over is your breath and your breathing.
Okay.
So we can change the way we breathe now, like.
Yeah.
And I'm still fine. And actually I feel a bit better if I breathe slower or whatever.
Breathing is incredible, isn't it? Like the breath work and stuff like that.
The power of it. And I think that's a really important thing to hold on to, which is even if it's not a conscious, which is I'm just going to take a minute, like you, to take a step away from this. Let me just kind of recalibrate my breath, my thought. I can make change there.
Yeah.
Says to us that we can make change elsewhere.
Yeah. And would you say that like doing little changes
all the time
will sort of like help you build up to the big changes?
Yeah, really, really helpful. And noticing, you know, the habitual things you do, which might be, I always apologize even though I haven't done anything wrong. Okay, so I wonder if I change that. I'm just not going to do that today.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So now when I've got to make a really big change, I know what that feels like, and that I can do it.
Built up the confidence.
Built up the confidence in it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we might be regretful about changes we make, and that's okay. Like, you know, it's okay to go, okay, maybe that wasn't quite the right thing to do, but I did do something different. Now I can just do something else, or I can make another sidestep. Like nothing is really ever so irreparable.
Yeah.
Unless we do it without grace and without thought.
What about change that's not your choice?
That's imposed on us?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between change and transition. So change is a thing that often happens to us.
Yeah.
So for example, I get made redundant, yeah?
Yeah.
That change is imposed on me. The transition is the work that I do internally, emotionally, to make sense of that change.
Okay.
So I think it's important that we do both, you know, that both things run parallel. So, because we can go, well, I got made redundant. Oh, that feel horrible. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to start another job. But I didn't really do any transitioning there because I didn't go, I don't feel very nice about that. Wonder why, you know, what I could have done or what happened. The transition is the emotional thing that you need to do, which is what you did. I step back, move away, think about how I feel, think about how much I respect the person who's saying it.
Yeah.
I make a transition back into the work.
Yeah. That matters to me loads, you know. The the respect of the person saying it.
Yeah.
Because if it was some like sort of junior at a label like sending me all those notes, I'd just be like, oh,
I'm not listening.
yeah. But it's because it was like this really like big successful artist in A&R. I was just like, yeah,
I'm gonna
so
listen
right.
to
And I took such like joy in it that he was asking me to make these changes, and they were right. I was like, yeah, he's right. I agree. Let's change this up.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately change is inevitable, but look at how you look after yourself, how you encourage yourself through it, I think.
Yeah.
Is really important. And also, share with others, I'm finding this change really difficult.
Yeah.
The idea of intimacy and allowing others in makes almost everything a bit easier.
Yeah. Making people aware of what you're going through.
Yeah. And I remember when I had to make that change and, sharing.
Yeah. Because I guess it's easier when there's like a sort of quote unquote common enemy, right? There's like if you work somewhere and then a new boss comes in and that's a big change, you can go to your coworker like, oh God, how are you finding the new boss? So you can you can do it then, but what's probably happening is everyone's going through similar changes. It just there isn't this like common enemy that you can pin it on. But
it's more that we can relate to others.
Camaraderie is the same.
Yeah, or just allowing people in.
Yeah.
I'm not in a great headspace at the minute because like so much is changing and I'm not able to keep up.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, that's horrible. Like.
Yeah. I had that when.
Yeah, what do you need? Or.
Yeah.
Ultimately, change is an inevitable part of growth and living, and growth is a good thing.
Yeah.
Growing into whatever areas of your life and managing and living through change, it creates growth for us internally, emotionally, and in the actual world. And it's okay to have a lot of different feelings about change. It doesn't all need to be amazing for it to be the right decision.
Yeah.
So I think know that change is destabilizing often, and allow that and accept it really, really helps, rather than fighting it, which is I should feel okay about it. I should be able to. Don't should yourself. Be with what the reality of what it is for you, and it's okay.
Great. That feels like a nice little place to start.
Yeah.
Well, it's been lovely. Series 2.
Series 2.
It's been great.
It's been good. I'm going to miss chatting to you.
What's been your favourite episode?
The one where Teddy was here humping everyone and everything. That's my dog. He came in. I brought him to Canary Wharf to film an episode, and he basically terrorised the entire place.
That was fun.
That was good. I always like chatting to you.
Yeah,
and Owen and I talk for a few hours before we even get in the room.
Yeah.
So we can talk about a lot of things. So I feel grateful to be able to talk with you and to share this space. So thank you.
Me too. And who knows, maybe series 3.
Who knows?
If they'll have us.
Yeah, if you can stop yawning.